We've been ranking our favorite artists wrong this entire time. We sort them by streams, technique, and influence, but we miss the one thing that actually matters: the relationship they have with their own mind. Our art isn't limited by skill, but by how we solve the psychological problems that appear along the way. Some artists get trapped in the same loop for years. Others evolve fast, meeting every challenge their taste throws at them. Level 1 is the artist who takes themselves so seriously they burn their own life down. They mistake their pain for proof of depth. They use their suffering as the only thing that proves they're real. The line between themselves and their art dissolves. Their life becomes the performance, and they're lost inside it. Every song becomes evidence that their pain matters. Every verse is a cry to be seen. And it works. People call it authenticity. But authenticity without boundaries is self-destruction. Level 1 artists turn their misery into marketing, their breakdowns into brand identity, and it never ends well. These artists stay loyal to their wounds. They think healing would make them ordinary, but you can make art about suffering without dying for it. Escaping level 1 doesn't mean you're free. It just swaps one prison for another. Level 2 is the artist fighting for freedom from themselves, cursed with flaws or strange edges they can't get rid of, so they start turning them into gold. Their catalog becomes a record of transformation, one long act of learning to love what once felt wrong. These artists aren't drowning in dissociation like level 1. They're using it, letting it guide them toward who they really are, hoping that if they can understand themselves deeply enough, their flaws might finally make sense. Level 2 is the realization: I don't have to fix myself before I create. You start accepting the parts you used to hide, the offbeat ideas, the way you think too much or too little. Instead of sanding those edges down, you lean into them. The traits that feel like flaws in life become your art's irreplaceable signature. But it's still a fight. You're wrestling with yourself, wondering if it's really okay to be this way. The freedom you found is real, but fragile. You've escaped your worst thoughts, yet the world still has you by the throat. And that's where level 3 begins. Level 3 is when we stop fighting ourselves and start fighting the world. Fighting for freedom from its expectations, from genres, from the weight of everyone's opinions. Many types of artists make it here. They've mastered their craft and now want to do things their way. They chase their own vision, even when it sparks controversy or hate, but they don't care. Level 3 artists develop a vision so strong they'll alienate their fans to protect it. They push boundaries, they experiment, they break rules. Sometimes they go too far. Maybe they're ahead of their time, but they'd rather fail trying something new than succeed repeating themselves. Because they don't want to wither away inside the same formula. They understand the value of reinvention, of shedding skin, finding new formats, and inventing something that didn't exist before. But not every level 3 artist is successful yet. Some of us are ahead of the curve, misunderstood and unseen. The audience for our work might not exist yet, and somehow that gives us strength. It gives us space to study ourselves, to dissect our minds, to understand why we create the way we do, and how to use that to our advantage. But that still isn't enough. Psychology isn't the answer, not completely. It helps, but it can't save us, because at level 3, we're not just trying to understand ourselves anymore. We're trying to be ourselves, even when we don't fit in anywhere. And that's where the trap appears. You can get so good at breaking rules that you forget why you started breaking them. The clarity you fought so hard for turns into fog. You start pushing boundaries not because the art demands it, but because you're desperate to stay different. And that's when you lose the plot. You're not really free anymore. You're just trying to survive. Level 4 is where the fight ends. You're no longer trying to fix yourself or prove anything. You've mastered your craft, your voice, your identity, and now creation becomes something else entirely. You're not chasing inspiration anymore. You are the inspiration. What replaces struggle is space, stillness. The silence between projects feels endless, but it's not emptiness, it's potential. You're learning how to create without chaos pushing you forward. You are the inspiration, but it doesn't push you, it just waits. That's the paradox of level 4. Here, the artist becomes a mirror of life itself. The boundaries between art and living blur, not from confusion, but from integration. Every part of you, even what once felt wrong, now has a place in the work. You can create something deeply personal without being consumed by it. The pain that once ruled you is now a quiet energy, disciplined and clear. But this clarity comes with a test. You still have to live, build, sustain, and share. Many artists freeze here, unable to bridge creation with survival. They stay pure, but they stall. At this level, it's this monetization that is what requires artists to reach this level of presence. Only once they are fully grounded can they build with clarity, and what they create then often carries a lasting impact. Those who learn to move through both states, stillness and structure, soul and system, transcend the need for either. They stop creating for survival and start creating for time itself, which leads them to level 5. Level 5 is where authenticity becomes a superpower. You're fully aware of who you are, what you care about, and what your work represents. You've figured out how to create not because you're inspired, but because you can. Curiosity, play, and the sheer joy of creating drives you, and that gives you real power. At this stage, monetization, fame, and an audience all come naturally, but they don't control you. You can build, grow, and sell your work without betraying your original, unique vision. You've finally learned the rules, survived the chaos, and now play within or even outside the system as you choose. This is the artist who creates with intention and joy. Mistakes are experiments, failure is fuel, and every project is a chance to explore. You don't need permission, approval, or proof of work. You make what feels alive because you know your taste aligns with what the world needs, and that alignment is enough. The trap at level 5 is complacency. The "I'm free now" idea can lull you into comfort. But true mastery comes from embracing tension between freedom and structure, authenticity and audience, play and discipline. That's what turns your work into something timeless. Level 6 is where the artist's mask becomes the master. If you make it to this level of control, you've spent years refining your craft, mastering authenticity, and carving your voice. Now you fully inhabit a persona, a symbolic identity that gives you power. It commands attention. It defies expectations. It can make you untouchable, and it can make your work legendary. But here's the catch. The mask can also trap you. Look at Hollis, the glitchy aesthetic, the cryptic persona. Every move is silently crafted and thought over. Every project reinforces his authentic identity. It works. People know you. They respect you. They follow you. And in doing so, they start expecting this version of you, the perfected, stylized, and amplified persona. The freedom you fought for in level 5 starts to collide with the world you've built. Every choice is now measured against the persona. You can't evolve without breaking the illusion. You can't experiment without risking the recognition you earned. Level 6 is power, yes, but it's also a cage. You've mastered the outside world and your external image, yet the part of you that wants to explore, fail, and change waits behind the mask. Few build the courage to open that door. Few dare to risk what they've built, but those who do step toward level 7. Level 7 is mythical, rarely reached, and rarely sustained. At this stage, you've mastered yourself, the world, your mask, and even the tension between authenticity and survival. You've seen the traps, you've walked the loops, you've been through complete destruction twice, and now you're free, truly free. You don't create to impress, to prove, or to survive anymore. You create because it excites you, because it's play, because it's alive. You follow curiosity wherever it leads, even if it leads to something messy, strange, or commercially wrong. And that's the difference. Bjork has been here for decades. She pushes boundaries, she experiments, she collides pop, avant-garde, and pure imagination without apology. She's never bored because she's never repeating herself. Every project is a new world, every idea a new adventure. Level 7 is understanding that art is play, and your identity is not a cage. You can fail, you can change, you can go broke, you can make something bad or something brilliant. None of it breaks you because you're not defined by the work. You're defined by your curiosity, your presence, your spark. The dynamic of level 7 is you are completely intentional, yet fully playful at the same time. You're utterly free, yet your work has weight. You're alive to the art in a way that makes it almost impossible to stop. This is the level where greatness happens. Not through perfection, not through consistency, not through trying to control the world, but through aliveness, the spark of excitement every time you start something new. Level 7 isn't really a destination. It's just a practice. It's a mindset. And those who reach it, no matter what skill level, don't just make art. They make life itself creative, alive, and endless.